Hello and welcome to the Gaia Daily Update for October 22nd through 24th. I'm Adrienne Leese. How are you doing? We are about halfway through this Venus retrograde. We still got a few more weeks. We are feeling it. We're going into the depths. Now tomorrow, or on the 24th, actually the same day as the full moon, really potent, incredible full moon coming up here. Venus moves into, the sun moves into Scorpio. We've already got Mercury there in Scorpio. So we're going to have the sun and Mercury and Venus retrograde in Scorpio. And that's a lot of Scorpio energy. And so we've been talking a lot about the Scorpio energy, about going into the depths, about going into our psyche, finding what's hidden underneath the shadows. And that can be sometimes the more scary part of of Scorpio. But there's also this beautiful aspect of Scorpio that is really coming up for people right now. Now that we're settling into this Venus retrograde, getting used to the energy, just kind of, okay, here we are. And this Scorpio energy also brings us an opportunity to find meaning and depth in our life. And this is so needed. I'm sure you've noticed that most of us are, it's just so, this world today has become very individualized, and we're all in our technology. We think we have community, but it's, based on an illusion that's created through social media, and then feeling more and more isolated and more that life doesn't have meaning. So there's something really beautiful happening for a lot of people who are sitting tight with this energy right now and just going deep into their psyche and finding, kind of claiming back like actual living and passion and having meaning in life and having connection. A lot of people Scorpio craves a deeper connection with community, with individuals, and a connection to nature and a connection to just life in general. And so it's a really beautiful energy for us, because especially since, Scorpio is Jupiter is rounding up its journey into Scorpio, and it's coming to the end next month. It's going to move into its home sign of Sagittarius. It's super excited to be there. But we're with Venus retrograde now kind of putting a cap on this Jupiter in Scorpio over the last year. And so Venus is kind of showing us in our deeper, because the faster moving planets are our personal planets. They bring home what the bigger planets are doing in the collective. So with this Venus retrograde, we're actually receiving the lessons and the blessings of this Jupiter in Scorpio period of time. And for a lot of people, it's like, I've been struggling in these concepts and these patterns and these things. And it's like, I'm really ready to go and get to the root of them. I'm really ready to stop suppressing my emotions and running from my deeper issues that might be holding me back. And I'm just going to go in there and I'm just going to face it, pull it out by the roots, and be present so that I can have this connection to life, this, kind of what makes life worth living, this deep meaning that we're all searching for. And it's interesting because it feels like we've had this period of time in our culture where we went deep into technology and into this isolation and thought that we were finding connection, then realizing that we were ending up with the short end of the stick. And now people are actively searching for this meaning again, for personal connection with each other. And it's a very beautiful thing. And so Venus rules our value system and what we really care about. And so with Venus retrograde, and especially with this full moon in Taurus, right? Because that's why Venus rules our values. It's the ruler of Taurus. And so it's opposite its home in Taurus, but it's shining the light here. We've got a full moon reflecting back. So this full moon is at the very beginning degrees of Taurus, hanging out with Uranus there. Now, Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius and speaks to new, sudden, awakening changes that are bringing the new, right? So that's an interesting energy with this full moon, because Taurus is very much like stability. Taurus likes rhythm and kind of groundedness, and to feel safe and just kind of feeling safe and having their needs met and everything like that. And Uranus is kind of like freedom and break through the chains and let's do it a new and different unconventional way. So it's a really interesting energy. And this is what's happening is a grand fixed cross, because we have the North Node at the very beginning of, right now it's at 1 degree of Leo. The nodes of the moon move backwards, apparently from the other planets, right? So through the signs. So it's moving from Leo into Cancer. And so this is a big shift for us. And we're also completing these lessons of the North Node and opportunities of the North Node in Leo around shining our light. And isn't that interesting? Because with the North Node in Leo, we've had a lot of focus on, what's in the way of you shining your light, like your inner gifts. So it's this neat crossroads here happening with this grand fixed cross. The fixed signs are about the stability that holds our world together. It's about, on the one hand, it can be stuck energy, but on the other hand, it's about like the four corners of the universe in a way, like a stability. And so at the very early degrees of these fixed signs, it's talking about a brand new reality. And so this Venus retrograde is showing us what's in the way of that new reality. And we've got, okay, can you shine your light? You've got all these beautiful resources within you, and this world has not recognized them, has not been supportive of them. They don't have value in this world. So part of what's happening at this early degrees of the fixed signs and the full moon at the early degrees of Taurus with Uranus there, it's a new value system. And, we absolutely have to do this, and our world, as we move forward, we're going to, have shifts and changes away from material wealth, that you cannot take that stuff with you. What you take with you from this experience is your soul wealth of what you've experienced over many lifetimes, and your gifts and skills lie there. So this is your value, your inner value, that's getting activated. And it's kind of like a whole energy on the planet saying, hey, you guys, we got to address our true value. And our true values have been hidden and suppressed and playing small. And so it's so interesting to see this overlap of the Venus and Taurus and Scorpio issues of value and worth and meaning. And then the Leo completing this North Node in Leo of like, can you shine your light? Like that, your light, your expression, Leo's creative expression out there in the world. And it's like, if you don't know your worth, if you're not willing to claim your inner gifts and skills, then you're never going to be able to shine, so we're being shown exactly what is keeping us from the life we really came here to live. And we're getting clues from the universe that it's actually starting to happen. This fixed cross is interesting because it's like, bam, it just is happening in time. Now we had Mercury, first Venus, then Mercury triggering this grand fixed cross. Now we have the Sun and Venus coming back into it. This is really, really powerful to have this fixed cross at the beginning degrees of the fixed signs. For almost 2 months, we're going to be feeling this. And so we're coming up into a culmination of this energy. All this Scorpio energy, the Sun and Mercury will be there on this full moon that's happening on Wednesday. And then, we've got that, the nodes coming, it's in square with the nodes and Uranus and Venus. And it's like, okay, there is a new map for us. And it's a new map. It's based on our inner resources, our inner wealth, and our ability to value ourselves, and our ability to claim meaning and purpose in our life. And that is the key. So many people have been living their lives in this last era, I feel like, where it's like, well, I really want to do this. I would love to, I've always dreamed of this part, and I have this talent and skill, but I just do it as a hobby, maybe if I have time after my real job, right? And it's kind of like, that should be your job. What you love, that's where the money is, really, ultimately. If you fully stop in, this is a law of the universe, and it's like, when we're talking about Taurus, we're talking about our inner resources. And if you fully express your inner resources, physical wealth will follow. That's the law of the universe. And yet we've lived in this upside down opposite world where there's just no support for the actual things that really matter in life. Now, this is coming to light as well as the North Node heads into Cancer. Because the North Node is our future karma. How are we going to get to where we're going? So this last year and a little bit more, we've been talking about shining our light and being able to claim these inner resources and express ourselves out there in the world and what's in the way. And now Cancer is saying, we've got to have the new value system we need. It has to do with what nurtures us on a deep level. Cancer rules nurturing and care and love. And we know that there's a little of lack of that on our planet, right? So now we're moving into a new chapter. So it's really interesting because we've got the North and the South Node really being triggered. And then we've got Venus and Uranus there in this grand cross with the sun and the moon. Venus and Uranus are both retrograde, and they're both about to head into their previous signs. So Venus is about to head into Libra at the end of the month, and Taurus is about to head back into Aries. And so they're going backwards. They're saying, wait a minute, we might not have all the information to totally move into this new paradigm, right? And then we've got the North Node ready to move into a new sign. We've got Jupiter ready to move home into Sagittarius. So a lot of energy and this fixed cross, this crossroads, this bam, this is a moment in time where we can claim this deeper meaning, claim our self-worth, claim our value, and claim a new direction. Now, the cool thing about this full moon that's coming up on Wednesday is that Saturn is in a very harmonious aspect to both the sun and the moon. And so it is in trine to the moon and sextile into the sun and Venus and Uranus. And so Saturn in Capricorn loves being at home in Capricorn, and it's about our manifested reality. So it's really cool because we've got all this new energy, kind of like new and old, and where are we going? Are we going to choose a new paradigm? Are we going to follow it through? Are we going to take a leap into trusting the deeper part of ourselves and trusting that we're here to have an actual life that feels worthy of living and meaning and purpose? And Saturn is kind of saying, yeah, we can do this. We can build this new world. We can, Saturn's a builder. Saturn wants to go in a methodical way, building a strong foundation, but it really is it's one of our main action planets, even though it is slow and methodical. And it's kind of like, we can do this. We're going to build a new world, and where we are right now, we are building that foundation at these early degrees of the fixed signs. And we're building the new foundation for each of us personally has to do with this journey into Scorpio and kind of being brave enough to face the shadow, to move into these energies that might be uncomfortable and our insecurities and our vulnerabilities and all that's coming up, but also I'm living, I'm breathing the air. I'm connecting with people. My life has purpose. This is what's actually underneath the journey into Scorpio. So it's really beautiful how it's coming up, and, just that beautiful cap on the Jupiter in Scorpio. So this has been we've been in this journey for a little over a year now, about exactly a year. I think it was last October that Jupiter moved in to Scorpio. And so it's a culmination right now of everything. And it all comes down to whether or not we feel like we deserve and we can honor ourselves enough to claim the life we want. And, we've talked a lot about timelines and adjustments there. And this has everything to do with timelines. With Uranus, a change maker, lightning fast change. So whenever Uranus is involved, you could have sudden changes and adjustments and awakening and information coming through. So pay attention. These next few days are incredibly potent and through the end of the month. And Uranus comes into its exact square with the nodes at the end of the month, but it's very close, just 1 degree apart. So we are feeling it. And so it's about just keep your eyes open and, keep being willing to face those vulnerabilities and face those fears and face the dark side of what you have been avoiding emotionally and spiritually, so that you can claim onto a deeper meaning. You know, a lot of times it's almost like there's just been this complacency energy in life, and I'm almost like things just don't have depth or meaning, and what's the point and what's the purpose? And that's what's being healed and resolved right now. And the point and the purpose is these inner resources. The depression, that lower energy, that frustration of not, you know, like, what's the point of life? That comes when you're not accessing those gifts, those beautiful gifts that you came in with deep inside. So it's a really potent time, you know, with Uranus involved and Venus retrograde. It's about, do you deserve it? And are you listening to the messages? Are you ready to receive, right? Because if there are new timelines landing and a whole new world starting, then there's great opportunities coming for us. Maybe like, you know, lifetimes of maybe persecution and struggle and never being able to complete your mission. And then all these blessings, these spiritual blessings just kind of falling from the sky as we move into this brand new paradigm. But you know, those blessings are going to pass you by if you're not in this place of self-love and worthiness to exist and to own your inner skills and gifts, you know. And it's like we're waiting around our whole life for someone to come and recognize and honor and support our gifts. And it's like, it's just never going to happen. You know, we've got to do that for ourselves. And that's what's really happening. Go into your life. What gives life meaning? What do you come to the end of the day and be like, God, I had a great day because you know what? I did this and I did this. And just go ahead and say, hey, what happens if I just start my New Year's resolution energy now and be like, I'm ready for meaning and purpose. And I'm going to spend a little bit of time each day on these things that make me feel that way. And so I can tell the universe I'm ready to receive. And I can tell the universe I'm ready to take care of myself so the universe can take care of me, you know? And I'm not going to wait around for some outside force to tell me it's okay and give me permission. It's just not going to happen. And so that's kind of the energy of the Scorpio, going deep into the depths of our psyche, which a lot of time is patterns, early childhood patterns, past life patterns, you know, and where we might have learned misinformation because the conditioning of this world, those inner parts of us, our beautiful, most beautiful gifts, don't matter or don't have value. And we got to go in and rewire that stuff, you know, and we can't expect anybody else to do it for us. And so it's just a really intense time right now, but super potent and powerful, and can really pay off to pay attention, to receive the blessing and the jewels and the treasures of this life, to feel like, you know, moving into 2019, like you love living instead of what in the heck am I doing here on this planet, right? You know, like, wow, it's so great to be here and express this. That's the shift that's available right now. If we can sit tight and go into these sometimes scary, vulnerable places, but that's actually where we find our power and our purpose and our meaning in life. So I hope you can join me for this activation for this full moon. I'm doing it just at the exact time, leading right up to the exact time of the full moon. That happens to be 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time on Wednesday, the 24th. And so that would be 9 a.m. on the West Coast, and that would be noon on the East Coast. And if you can't make the live activation, the energy is encoded into it. So you can go ahead and watch the replay whenever you get a chance and still get this powerful message, whatever this full moon might mean to you. And so I hope to see you there. And until next time, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.